And we're live. How's everyone doing? Okay, so with me today is Dexter from the Plunder, fine crafter of piratey terrain and other stuff, which we shall see today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
And I believe that your channel recently hit 3,000 subscribers, so I guess congratulations are in order.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate all the people stopping in and watching the channel. It's awesome.
So, what do you say? We say hello to the folks in the chat, and then I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. That good?
Sounds good.
Okay, so hi Charlene, hi Mia, hi Sean, hi Kim, Lance Huntsman, good to see you. RV RV Jering, sorry, I think I might have butchered that, but good to see you too. Dirty Basement Terrain and Campaign Terrain, always welcome. And yeah, I can see that you're in the chat too, that's real good. Also, before I forget, Happy Mother's Day to all mothers out there. Hope you had a lovely day. Or going to have a lovely day because of the time zone stuff. So, Dexter, how about you tell us a little about yourself?
Well, I guess maybe talk a little bit how I got here, how I got to this point. I really I haven't been into tabletop gaming very long. I would say maybe 2.5, 3 years. So not very long at all. I did play Battle Master back in the past. It's a Games Workshop game, um, but I mean that's pretty basic. It was more like a board game, but on a larger scale. But really, that's the only exposure I ever had to tabletop gaming. But I was always into back in my university days. We played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. And then I played a game called Seven Seas, which is like Magic the Gathering, but it's a pirate-based card game. And that really kind of got me into the whole pirates end of things, not knowing way down in the future that I would get involved in Blood and Plunder and that kind of stuff. But it definitely piqued my interest, let's say. So there was a lull there as soon as I got out of university. I kind of went out to the working force and didn't really play a whole lot of tabletop gaming or any gaming, in fact, actually. And just by chance, I was, with my son at a medical appointment, and I was checking out my phone as people do, just looking at pointless dribble. I was looking at pictures of World War II aircraft carriers. Who knows why I was looking at that? That's just what came up on my feed. Facebook just sends you things. Oh, take a look at this. Take a look at this. So as soon as I walked into there, I ended up it wanted me to look at sailing ships, and I like sailing ships. That was cool. And then it came to a site called Blood and Plunder. And I'm like, what is this? So I clicked in there and I realized it was a game. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the most amazing game I've ever seen. I didn't know you could have like a giant board like that playing ship battles, and so it really caught my eye right away. And I immediately ran out to the local game stores to see if I could, find this game. And nobody had heard of it. Of course, this is Canada, right? So it's popular. I understand at the time in the UK and the United States, of course. But it started catching on in other places and around the world. But at the time, nobody had heard of it. So I showed it to them, and they looked it up, and they're like, "This game is cool." I'm like, "Right."
I
So
mean,
I
pirates, come on.
reached out to Firelock Games and kind of just ordered directly from them. And originally, I was just going to play the game, and it has nothing to do with terrain whatsoever. I just wanted to try this game out. It looked outstanding. So, got some ships, got some crews, got my son down there. We were putting it together and realized, we need some stuff for our map, right? We need some stuff to hide behind, and you need terrain to play the game, right? So I kind of looked at what was available to purchase, and there really wasn't a whole lot out there, to be honest. There was a little bit of things. Firelock Games carried a few things, but not the pirate kind of thing. I was, thinking in my mind what that looks like. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I kind of said, well, maybe I can build it myself. Now I do have an arts background. That's what I took in university, and I figured, well, how hard could this be? So I looked at it, and well, let's just say my first pieces, they're dreadful. I I did watch some early videos, Wyluck and um, DM Scotty, those kind of spots, and then Black Magic Craft. Those are kind of some of the videos and some of the YouTube things I got into watching. Now, at the time, I was just watching YouTube. I had no intention on running a YouTube channel. I was just watching others, and I picked up a few tips from them. That got me started, and it got my imagination running, and that's when I started building some of the terrain. So I got just one of my props here. This is my very first piece of terrain I built. Now, okay, so look at this thing. It looks like a gingerbread house. So I'm
I
trying to
mean,
get it in the screen here.
compared to
There we go.
your compared to your later work, that looks very basic. But
Yeah.
if for anyone who's just new to terrain and build something, it's a good house. You can play a game with that and have fun with it.
Yeah, you could. Like, and I use this for cover and stuff like that. You could build around it. You could even get up in this. I had this little deck on here. Anyways,
What do you use
but
for
compared to
the
what I
thatch
did
there?
later on, yeah, this is so you can see my progression. So this is about 2.5, 3 years ago that I built this, and this is the very first piece of terrain I built.
What did you
And
use
really,
for thatch on that one?
what's that?
I said, what did you use for thatch on that one?
Uh, well, I don't know. It kind of some odd materials that anyways, I learned from a lot from it. I learned that you shouldn't put so much wash into dollar store foam board. You get turned into a gingerbread color, which is god awful. And I don't know, I stuck the windows on the outside. It looked like I was adding candies or something. It was bad. But I kind of learned a lot from it, and I didn't quite figure out how to do a roof properly. So that came later. I think it was one of Wylock's videos. He did a tavern or something like that,
Mhm.
and he had some good tips on how to build a roof, and I kind of learned from that point on. And then from there, it kind of moved on to other pieces of terrain. At the time, nobody was commenting on the beautiful terrain that I was putting out. Nobody even mentions anything, but I got better at it. So I moved on to just a sec here. This is the very next one I built.
Well,
And you can see it, that I improved on my original design,
I
and I
think
built
you've even got some kind of weathering going on in there. Yeah.
better painting. I added a little sign on here. I had a little lantern on the back here. I can't even see it on the screen here, but right
Okay, I
there.
see it now. Yeah.
So I kind of added, some accessories to it, and so I got better at it. And I figured, you know what, maybe I could do something with that. So I actually posted that a picture of that, and I got a lot of hits on it. People really loved it. I did it with I had Captain Morgan and a couple of the pirates out front that like he was at a pirate port or something like that.
Okay.
And then people start inquiring, how did you make that? I'm like, do people really want to know how I made this? I mean, so I kind of
Yes, they do.
I started on Instagram, actually, just putting pictures up, kind of like different stages of how I built it. And then people, were kind of interested in what I was doing there, right? So they said, well, do you have a YouTube video? Like, can you do a tutorial like that? And I said, well, I guess I could. So I only knew a little bit about YouTube. If you look at my history on YouTube, it says I've been on there for 11 years. I've been more of just putzing around on there watching things. I haven't really been actually doing any content on there, right? And so my son kind of laughed at the whole thing, and I'm like, well, why not? I'll try it. And I still have my very first videos on my YouTube channel, and like I said, they're dreadful. But I think most people's first videos aren't that
Yeah,
great.
for sure. I mean,
They're
unless you start out knowing already how to do video editing and presenting and stuff, there's a massive learning curve in there.
Yeah, there's a really giant learning curve there. I had this idea, like, I don't know, I just kept talking quietly on there, like somebody was going to hear me, like I was doing something bad in the basement. I don't know. So, so I got more confident as I went along, and I like to do my intros and stuff, and I try to do them in one take. So it's kind of I should actually release an outtake video. Somebody might actually find that fun, because there's some fun outtakes on some of those videos where I recorded the whole thing, especially when I mess up right at the very end. Oh God,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it could be bad. So stuff like that. So that's kind of led me up to starting this channel. And then I got better at it over time. I originally started with just battle reports,
Hmm?
and I wasn't really tremendously good at the battle reports. And I might go revisit that in the future, because I learned a lot since I've made those original battle reports. And there's been a lot of requests for that battle reports, and me to talk about some of the factions and stuff like that. Now, Blood and Pigment is another channel. They do a job of kind of going through the factions and how to start playing Blood and Plunder and stuff like that. And they that's their kind of realm. Like, I was kind of sticking to the terrain building aspect of it, and I was having just a heck of a good time building it. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, I love playing the game, but I love building terrain probably as much.
Yeah, and
And I just
again,
got this idea of, can I build epic game tables and help others build them as well? So that's kind of led me up to where I am right now. 3,000 subscribers just recently. That's amazing. How many people have tuned in and supported me, and give me a lot of positive feedback, and kind of lead me in directions. They want me to do certain things, and kind of I listen to them sometimes. Sometimes I will do what they ask them to do. Sometimes I kind of, it's whatever you're inspired to do, right? Sometimes you want to do whatever comes up, and sometimes it's you mentioned earlier, like Pirates of the Caribbean. That movie's,
mhm.
a lot of things in there inspired a lot of my terrain. They're not exact copies, but they're inspired
Heavily
by them.
inspired, yeah.
Yeah, so when I want it to be like an amusement park when you're playing on my game table. It's like you're playing in a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, even though this is a historical game. Anyways,
Yeah, I mean,
but I did branch
just
out
because it's
to other
historical,
things.
it doesn't mean it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be fun.
yeah, and I branched out to other games, like Blood and Valor, which is a World War One game, and Blood and Steel, which is based in the Victorian era. And I'm really looking forward to the new Blood and Crowns that's coming out. That's medieval. So game, but I dabbled like in bolt action and stuff like that. A lot of my terrain is, it can be used for a lot of those games, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
When you're
mostly
building
interchangeable, yeah.
style buildings and castles and stuff like that, they work for any of those games. And Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah, I mean,
They're great for fantasy games too. So I've kind of assembled a kind of an eclectic group on my channel of people that are into different games, and I really appreciate everybody's different perspectives on things, and comments that they put in the videos. So
yeah, and the way I see it is that crafting is crafting. So let's say that even if you only crafted specific 17th century peasant hovels only, someone who does other stuff is still going to be able to pick up some crafting techniques of that.
yeah, sure, that's kind of what I was thinking. That somebody will get some use out of it, or they'll do a variation of it that suits whatever game they're playing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the meantime, let's see. Kimaruar Gaming and Lewis from the Ant Level joined us. Hi, gents. And yeah, Dirty Basement Terrain is saying none of us really intend to start channels. Yeah, YouTube
Yeah,
sometimes just kind of creeps up on you.
yeah, that's right. Other people decided for me. Yeah, like, you should do this. Yeah,
Okay,
and here I am.
second.
I said, and here I am doing this.
So,
I'm having a blast doing it, though. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, I mean, it shows in your videos because sometimes if someone is, just doing a video for the sake of it, there isn't that energy, but you definitely look like you're having fun.
Oh yeah, just having a great time. I love getting down to the hobby table and thinking of the next project. And it's funny, I sometimes get distracted because I'm actually working on one project and I'm already thinking about the next project as I'm constructing the project I'm on. And I'm not focused on what I'm doing in front of me. I'm just like, oh well, you know what would be cool if I built this and that, and maybe I can add on to that. And I'm like, what am I thinking? Just finish what's in front of you.
Yeah, when that
And
happens to
that's
me, I'm
how
more
we
of the
get
kind of
going.
person who will say, okay, I'm definitely not focusing on this. I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to work on the more interesting thing.
Yeah. It's like my body keeps moving, it keeps crafting, but I'm already thinking of my next episode.
When you craft, are you the kind of crafter who plans everything out beforehand with the cut lists and the diagrams and stuff, or do you just glue stuff together and see what comes out?
Yeah, what I kind of do is kind of how I start my videos. I have a pile of materials usually that are sitting on a table. I usually take a picture of it or I film that portion of it. And then I kind of visualize with those pieces what it could look like. I kind of know, okay, well, I'm going to build, this Pirates of the Caribbean inspired building. I know what it kind of looks like. I kind of know what materials I'm going to need for it, and I just kind of assemble it all together. And then as I'm building it, things change. Sometimes I have to sacrifice something because it doesn't quite work in the overall construction. I really take consideration for the terrain to be fully playable.
Hmm?
It's important because it's for a tabletop game, right? So you got to be able to take it apart easily and play right through it. That's the great thing about Blood and Plunder and like Dungeons and Dragons stuff like that. You can play right through the terrain, right? It's part of the experience is being able to go through it. So I kind of early on switched from I used to have just stagnant terrain where you couldn't do anything with it. It's
Hmm.
just you go around it or whatever, right? I quickly switched to playable terrain because it's for a game essentially.
I also remember that recently, I think that was before Adepticon, you did those little houses that you could nest inside each other, which is a brilliant storage idea.
Yeah, it was. I was just thinking that I got a lot of requests to bring a lot of terrain to Adepticon, and that's what I'm known for is my terrain. So I'm like, how am I going to get all at least a game table's worth of terrain there, but not take up a huge amount of luggage space? I mean, I'm coming from Canada. I got a lot of things to bring. I have my CPAP machine, which is fantastic because it uses up so much of my carry-on luggage. That I wanted to bring some ships, and I was really ambitious on bringing certain things. Now, I also made on my channel ships that collapse down and stuff like that, so they fit in my luggage. So I was able to, and I came up with the idea was this nesting village. So I kind of just figured if I can get them all to fit into one big house, then it only takes up one little space in my luggage, and it worked out great. It As long as you make the windows and doors the same size, the outer structure is not as important. And at a quick glance, it all looks like it's from the same scale. It could
Aha.
be a smaller house, it could be a shed, it could be something like that. But as long as the windows and doors are the same size, the illusion's there that it's the same scale, right? So it didn't matter to me that once you put them all in that little you use like the Ukrainian nesting dolls. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of inspired me to do something like that. Like, how do I get it all fit in there? And it worked out great. And in the very core, I was able to put all my little scatter bits and stuff like that. So I was able to get quite a bit of terrain in that one little house that I was able to bring to Adepticon. So it was awesome. They in the Blood and Valor tournament, they actually used all those terrain pieces as a single game table as the final game
Oh,
table that
nice.
the final match was played on. So it was really, really, really awesome. I was super proud of that, and it was awesome to see.
So I was going to ask you about Adepticon. Was that your first convention, or is it something that you visit often? How was that?
Yeah, I've been to like local conventions and kind of smaller things in Canada here. They're not anywhere near what Adepticon is, right? And I wasn't even into tabletop gaming and stuff like that. I just kind of went with friends or something like that because they were interested in Warhammer or something like that was going on. Sometimes there's a comic book convention similar to that, right? But not anything intention to be a part of the event or actually Adepticon really was the first one that I went to, so it's kind of like went right to the biggest, right off the hop, just jumped in, right in the deep end, just giver. And And it was awesome. I got to play some tournament play in Blood and Plunder and Blood and Valor, and got to showcase my terrain. I won the best painted army in the Blood and Plunder tournament. And
Oh, nice.
I think some of the pictures I did put in that packet I sent you. So there's pictures of that ship,
We shall bring them
stuff
up
like
in
that.
a second, yeah?
I met a lot of connections with a lot of people, other content creators, at game companies. It was really cool. That's the only place I know where you can meet everybody that's anybody in the gaming world in one spot. They're all there, right? Content creators, creators of the game, all the new miniatures that are coming out. Like that is the con to go to. And if I can at all possible make it to as many as I possibly can, I certainly will. Fortunately, it's in Chicago, and I live in Canada, so it's not the most easiest thing to get
Yeah,
to.
it's
But
a bit of a haul, isn't it?
yeah, and it's definitely pricey. Let's put it that way. And you really want to stay at the hotel where the con is. I was so much. It's when you're going shopping at the vendor fair, you can just go up to your hotel room and put it in there. Like I actually had a room at the hotel. I know I'd sell my firstborn to get into that hotel. It is not easy at all. Like they have a window, usually in August, of like 3 minutes to get a room in that hotel. That's it. That's all you
Wow.
got. If you're not there in those 3 minutes, you're not getting a room in that hotel.
All right.
Unless you know somebody, because I know some people that got in there afterwards, but they knew some people. They had connections. But if you're just Joe Schmo like me, you have to be there August and get your room in there. So you really have to decide if you want to be in that hotel or not. But I guarantee, like, you'll have a way better experience if you're not commuting to that hotel every day, and you're actually just in there. You just hit the elevator, you're down. There's Adepticon, right there at the bottom floor.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it.
It was way easier.
I didn't think about it earlier, but it's like you mentioned, if you just go into the booths and the stores and the stuff, you start buying, oh, this looks interesting, and this looks interesting, and this looks interesting, and I'll have three of those, please. And you don't want to have to carry all that across Chicago.
Oh yeah, I know it was in that vendor hall. Seriously, I had to control myself big time. There's just like a kid in a candy store. There's just so many things to look at. It's so cool. So many cool things. But I stuck to terrain. I stuck to what my roots are, terrain. And I found terrain objects that I brought back to help me with my future on the channel there. So.
Okay, before we start going through the images that you sent me, do you have any piece of terrain which is your particular favorite? It's like from the ones that you've built already.
The projects that I built, some of my favorites. Um, well, I know that Pirates of the Caribbean one was the coffins out front. It's actually a building that's just briefly in that movie. I actually found pictures of it on the going through the Pirates of the Caribbean set. If you go on the internet, you can actually look at all the different set pieces that were in there. And I got a good look at that building in that case. I think in the movie, it's just briefly they run by it or something like that. It's just kind of backdrop, right? But I really thought it was kind of a cool building, mainly because not necessarily do I think that they would have had a building like that with coffins out front. That's more of I think they were trying to
It's more of a
lend
Western
to
thing, isn't
old
it?
Western.
Yeah,
Yeah, the old
yeah.
Western. You come into town, and they got the Undertaker at the front, and it just adds a little bit of danger to the town, right? And I think that's what they were going for in the movie. Imagine most pirates are probably just buried at sea, right?
I guess.
They probably got a burlap bag or something and tossed in there. They weren't actually, or nothing at all. But, I don't think there was too many coffins that were filled from people that died at sea. So logically, it doesn't make sense, but it's probably for the townspeople, right? They have to bury people, so
So they have to
uh,
put them somewhere, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, so I think they were really going for a stylized kind of look to that town, and I kind of wanted to capture that in mind. Even though I'm playing a historical game, I want to have a little flair to it, a little bit of fun, right? I
For
like
sure,
to
yeah.
have my table have a lot of fun to play on, so I went with that piece, and that was a complicated piece. I did it over 2 episodes, I believe, and it had multiple levels, has three like 2 levels that you can play right through, and then the roof detaches right off. Now that roof slips in there perfect, man. I measured that out perfect. I took extra time to make sure that roof slides in nice. I'm really proud of that particular piece. It really looks good. I think that people will stop and look at that.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
And one of the other ones I would say was one of my favorite builds was a church that I built. But I built that before I even started the channel. I did it on. There's pictures of it on my Instagram, which is the Plunder Den, by the way. If anybody wants to check out the Instagram page, and on there is this church I built, and I was kind of really new to crafting, and I couldn't believe I even built the church myself. I thought I was dreaming that I built that thing, and it came out really good. And I did step-by-step process on Instagram, but I think kind of came realize at that particular project that okay, maybe I need to go to YouTube because this is too hard to do. Picture explain, picture explain. It's just
Yeah.
not feasible, right? There was just so many steps to that thing. But that sure was a lot of fun to build, and that I get a lot of comments about it still to this day, and it's one of my first pieces I built. Besides the lovely one I just showed you at the beginning there. But it was actually one of the ones I was really proud of. I thought it was a really good piece. And I use it constantly. I use it to play with. You can play right through it. You can play right into the bell tower and everything. It's a completely playable piece, which is, I really started down that route of building terrain pieces that are playable.
Yeah, I still wouldn't knock your first piece because I think we were talking yesterday while we were checking doing a sound check and everything. But I think the difference between most people and good crafters is that most people just build something, decide they don't like it or that it didn't look good enough and give up. Whereas a good crafter just keeps trying and trying and trying until they get it right. So I would
That's
I would
right. I
not
mean,
knock the first piece. I mean that's more than most people would build.
yeah, I could have easily just given up and go, this is not for me. I'm not going to figure this out. And I just kept telling myself mentally, I can paint a beautiful canvas painting. How can I not build this little house out of foam and stuff? And I couldn't, I just talked myself into it, I guess, but I could do it. And I just kept plugging away at it, and yeah, I got better at it.
Yeah,
As I picked up different tips from other creators online about building bricks and what kind of bricks to use and all sorts of stuff like that. It evolved, right? It just got better and better over time. And I just see myself just continuing down that route, as learning as much as I can and building new and creative things.
yeah, and it's not even a very long time because you were saying 3 years or something around that time. Because going from your first, the way your first building looks to the way the buildings you're doing now look, there's a massive learning curve in there.
Yeah, there is a big difference between the two, and I'm pretty proud of myself that I got to that level, and but I know I could do more. Like I've seen some other people's work, and it inspires me to do more. I know I could do more and more creative projects and really take it over the top. I got big plans for like the governor's mansion. I really want that thing to be over the top kind of project. It's probably going to take me 3 episodes because it's going to be some giant project, but I want to build like a plantation map where it's all
That
have
is going to be
slave
like a
quarters
whole
and
table, yeah?
yeah, whole table is a plantation, and right at the end of the table will be the governor's mansion, and kind of build a scenario where you have to free the slaves to help you defeat the governor and his military force. And I got plans for that. A night raid from pirates.
Oh, that should be fun.
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun. I want to build a table.
So let's see here. Mia Geek is saying, commuted to Gen Con a few days in a row like that. Put stuff in a rolling suitcase. Okay, yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good plan. Lewis is saying, I'd have no chance. I wouldn't be able to afford the plane home by the end of it.
Yeah, you know, spending all your money there.
Yeah, but you know
I hear you.
what you could do is you could build a raft out of all the things you purchased and shrink wrap it and then just throw that home. You'd be okay.
Well, that's the thing is I got a swag bag plus all the stuff I bought. It got tricky to bring all my stuff home on that luggage. I even gave away a few things because I had
Oh,
too
okay.
much. Some people got some free gifts from the Plunder Den.
Okay, and Campaign Train is saying, my crap is crap, but I've made thousands of them. Come on, Cross, your stuff is great to play on. But anyway, let's jump over to the pictures that he sent me because there's a few of them that I would really like to talk about.
Okay.
So here they go. And where did I put this? Ah, here they go. Okay, so one of the first things that I'm seeing about most of your shots is that the tables are really dense, and I really like that.
Yeah, I don't like the sparse looking table with a few oddball things to hide behind. No, I want you to be dug deep. There's bushes, there's trees, there's there's buildings, there's a well, there's anything you would probably find in a port like that. I want to build and be there, and I kind of make all my stuff modularized. So because I like to play on a flat tabletop, right? Now that's a cigar box battle mat, and you can put stuff underneath it and make it a little more three dimensional. But for the most part, I play on a flat battle mat, so I'm not going the full like Geek Phoenix where he does the
The
entire mat,
contoured
and maybe that's
stuff, yeah.
something I'll do in the future. But this is more of stuff I can build and put on top of a table, right? So you can make your mat epic. And that's kind of what I've been working on is just building these modularized pieces of terrain.
And Blood and Plunder is a skirmish scale game, yeah. So it's you don't have big
Yeah,
battalions; you just bunches of people.
that's right. It's a skirmish style game, and it's a lot of fun just playing with 25 models on both sides. You can have a heck of a good time.
Oh yeah,
You
for
don't
sure.
need a giant army. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a kind of a river scene that I built. Um, it's actually a playable piece of terrain. I do want to build water tiles that are going to go off this piece.
Hmm?
So it's kind of like a centerpiece that's going to be at the middle of the game table. So it's one of those game tables I haven't got back to, but it's one of those projects I started, and you're going to build some river tiles off that. That's for a future project. But the miniatures that are on there, those are Braves. They're a line of for the Firelock Games unit you can play. That's what I really like about Blood and Plunder. You can play all the native factions at that time period. These four guys were given as a gift we have a painting competition where we do a Secret Santa, and Joseph Forrester, who runs the Blood and Pigment channel, he got awarded these four Braves, so he's got those four guys. But I wish I had I didn't send you any pictures of my original miniatures.
Yeah,
They're kind of like my first terrain piece. They're lovely. Um, they look like little tin soldiers. They're just lovely. So you can see I've progressed a lot in my painting abilities on the miniatures as well.
yeah.
I think I'm pretty proud of
I'm especially
these
impressed
four.
with the war paint and the shading on some of the cloth. They're really good.
Yeah, I definitely have increased my game in minis, and I got ways to go. But I think if a couple more years of this, I might get better at it. Maybe I might even enter like the Golden Demon or something.
Ooh.
I'm a little far off from that. I know I'm being really optimistic here. um, Even if I didn't even place anything, it might be something just to be fun to compete in. And I know I wish I had Creature Caster was there with a bunch of cool. Wish I would have brought a couple of those back and something that I've been wanting to dabble in is doing a large miniature. But my skills are quite not there yet, so I'm not ready for something big like that. But down the road, down the road.
Yeah, I mean the golden demon entries only always impress me. It's not just the quality, but the idea that someone will sit down and paint the same miniature for 4 or 5 months to get it up to that level. It's whoa.
Yeah, it would be something that I would be doing while I'm doing the channel. So every third day, I would be painting the Golden Demon entry. It might be a fun kind of check-in on my channel or something like that. But that's definitely down the road something that I would be interested in doing. But like I said, my skills are I don't think quite there yet, but I'm improving. I'll get better at it.
So
The more you do it, the better you get at it.
yeah, for sure. So Quest for Terrain is asking, is the river made of resin?
Did what?
Sorry, is the river made of resin?
The river, yes, that's resin. It's actually a colored resin. I got it from Michael's craft store, and it's got a blue color into it already.
Right.
But underneath it, I did do some multi-layered of paint colors underneath. Actually, when I moved to the Pirates of the Caribbean inspired, I did that pirate warning island. I actually went to a thinner bit of resin, so I actually went more of trying to capture the undertones of the river. This one's a little bit darker because I did more of the resin. But actually, you just need a resin topper, and you just do all the cool, intricate depths by just painting it on. Because remember, I'm trying to work on a flat surface. I don't want to have too much depth on my terrain pieces, right?
Okay, I got you. And I believe these are the same miniatures, yeah?
Yeah, just for a different angle.
I love that warpaint.
Yeah, it came out good. Those guys came out good. I really liked them. It took a lot of time. Joseph Forster, he's a really good miniature painter. So, I was a little intimidated to have him as my secret Santa, but I did my best to. He usually plays native forces, so that's kind of why I built these particular guys. He would appreciate those.
So let's see. Moving on to this one.
Yeah, so that ship in the background there is the one that won the best painted in the Blood and Plunder tournament at Adepticon. And this is kind of me just coming back from Adepticon. I just kind of threw everything on the table. I did these kind of artistic pictures of my returning armies from battle. So it was my first time playing in a tournament, and at least I didn't go lose all my games. I won 2 and lost 4. So, oh well. I mean, I'm not really the huge tournament player, but I was happy that I at least won a few games in my first go at it. But I did learn a lot from those tournaments, and I think I would do a lot better in a second time around. I think would wisen up and tighten up my armies a little bit, and I would probably do better, I think, in my next go at it.
And these are
so the guys in the front here, that's my Blood and Valor.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, that's French infantry. I played the French in that tournament.
Okay. And you mentioned the ship. Is the ship model Firelock? I forgot the brand name, sorry.
Firelock Games.
Firelock Games, yeah.
That's
right.
a ship that they sell. That's
Nice.
actually what they call a brigantine, but I converted it to a sloop of war. So some of the ships are convertible. They have different options where you can change them into a different ship.
Oh, nice.
It has different stats in the game and stuff like that. So that's actually a sloop of war, but the model itself is from Firelock Games, and it's a brigantine.
Really cool. Okay, let's see here. Okay, here's another table. Like I said, nice dense terrain.
Yeah, so this is I was did an episode on projects that I did in last year. So if you're looking at that table, these are all the projects I built last year. And actually the table goes off wider. It's not all on the screen here. And I kind of wanted to show all the different terrain pieces that I built in a single year. And I kind of just did a panorama camera view of all the different things I built. So you can see I've been busy at the crafting table.
No kidding.
All sorts of goodies for all sorts of different games. So there's stuff in there for Blood and Plunder, Blood and Valor. Even some of those fortification pieces will actually come in handy for the Blood and Crowns, the new one that came out, that's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, a spiky barrier is a spiky barrier.
Yeah, especially those spiked things. That's more medieval, right?
Yeah.
But I used them for my fortifications, just to add a little, flair to some of my my terrain pieces.
I'm seeing these canoes in the bottom here. Is that also something you built?
That's a canoe over there. That's actually the model itself is that's all Firelock Games, but I
Okay,
did paint those this particular past year. So you can see there's a lot of that's another thing that I spent a lot of time doing. There was a release called Fire on the Frontier, so they did a kind of a frontier version of Blood and Plunder.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an expansion, right? So you can play in the North American field or cedar. And when I came right down to looking for native terrain, there's virtually nothing out there. There's a couple of people doing some resin 3D printing, and that's it. And so I said, you know what, this is a huge gap in the terrain world. And so I kind of went head first right in there and built a whole bunch of different native terrain pieces.
like this
So I got
longhouse.
the longhouse right there, and right above it is the wigwam. And those are other things, or other pieces are from the village. That staircase is actually from a giant native fortification that I
All
built,
right.
which I couldn't fit on this table, otherwise it would take up the whole table. So, ah, so that's a so I kind of went I did a series. If you go to my channel, there's a series of videos called Frontier, and there's a bunch of frontier terrain. And I've done European stuff too. There's a blockhouse you can see on the edge of the bill
Just on the edge, I think we
right
have
there.
other pictures of
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
I can send you pictures of the blockhouse. So that's another piece. That's my son's favorite piece, by the way. That terrain piece that I
Yeah.
built was the blockhouse. It's a pretty sturdy piece of terrain. I've had some requests for people to commission me to do a couple of those. They are time consuming though; they take a long time to build, but it's a good sturdy piece of terrain. You get a lot of fun out of that thing.
I like that you've got these bales of hay and fields and these piles of goods here. They really add a lot of flavor to the table.
Yeah, then it kind of you could add it just as flavor to the table, like you said, or I sometimes use them as objective
Yeah, yeah, of
markers.
course.
So objective that you're trying to capture in the game. So they come in handy. So just having things like that, and like you're right, it adds to the table, right? You expect to see certain things like that in a village, right? So I add those things to it.
Nice. Let's see. Ah, here we can. Is the wigwam, yeah?
Yeah, that's a closer picture of the wigwam. That's just made out of crafting wire. If you go to the dollar store, they sell it in rolls. And that's insulation foam that I use for the wooden planks that are in there. They use a lot of sides of wooden timbers, and they build ones in real life. The bark, they use the bark from the tree, right?
Okay.
So I
I didn't
really
know
wanted
that, so
to.
yeah. I think you put a lot of research into this one as well, then.
Yeah, I really looked at a lot of different versions of it. And I kind of added as you like. I like to base my terrain. As you can see, that cap comes off, and there's an inside. There's a bench and stuff on the inside.
All right.
There's like a little animal skin on the floor. It's just stuff like that. It just adds like extra, right? So you can go in there, you can play inside that wigwam. And it's not just the outside, right? So completely playable piece of terrain.
Do you do a lot of research before you build something like this? For example, I know that sometimes I'll be looking at something and 6 hours later I'll be, and then in this year and this year this happened to this thing and then they rebuilt it with this other thing and
Yeah.
which is entirely no use to the
um,
crafting, but it's kind of fun.
yeah, definitely. I do go through a lot of photographs and pictures and native art. I looked at a lot of images of what they had for town life and stuff like that. They would see in. So I kind of I do spend a lot of time looking at that, especially on these particular pieces. I kind of wanted to get them right. I wanted them to be what it should look like, pretty much. I mean, of course, I do some liberties on certain things just because I think it looks better. Maybe it's not historically correct, but it looks darn good on a table, and that's the guy that kind of just want to go that route sometimes. And you could end up using this for something else. What if you used it for like a witch's hut for Dungeons and Dragons, right? Why not? It doesn't have to necessarily be this. It could be something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I always think of, you could use this for other pieces and other games, right?
So what did you make there looks like there are hides on the roof or something like that. What did you make those out of?
For the hydrants on the roof of the wigwam, that's actually just material that I got from Walmart. They have pre-cut material. It's really thin. Of
Okay.
course, it's Walmart, right? So really cheap, really thin, but perfect for crafting. So all I do is add it on, and I add black craft paint to the top of it, and it just kind of glues it in place.
Ooh,
And then once it all dries, then you can go wild with the paint, right? You can paint it any way you want. But it looks like skins or something like that because
yeah.
it really adheres itself to it, right? And I really like that look. The fuzzy stuff that's on the ground, that's actually teddy bear fur, and I cut it. I gave it a haircut, so it's really really thin. And then I added a lot of black paint to it just with my fingers, and I kind of just made it look like maybe it's I don't have a side angle, but it does look like a bear hide or something like that that's on there, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm surprised that there are so many uses for teddy bear furs in gaming.
Oh yeah, gotta love that teddy bear fur, man.
And this is the longhouse, yeah?
Yeah, this is a longhouse,
I love this
and again,
part on the side.
what's that?
I said I love the detail on the side here.
The lattice work, yeah.
Yeah.
I when I looked at a lot of them, they were like that, and I've seen different variations of it. Some of them are more rounded shaped, some of them are more square like this, and but they all have. I'm assuming the timbers on the side of the doorway were used for repairs or as a windshield. They usually had an opening either in the middle or on the end. This piece is completely playable too. That roof comes right off, and you can play right through it. There's two sections or two rooms. There's fire pits on the floor. I wish I would have sent you some pictures of the interiors of some of these, but that's okay. You get the idea.
Yeah, I
The roof
mean,
opens up. There's stuff in there, right? And I put decorations on the wall and stuff like that. Just like again, it just adds to the atmosphere. You can play right through this piece of terrain here.
oh, for sure. And yeah, if anyone wants to have a look at the interior and stuff, the video is on your channel, which is linked in the description. So people can go
Yeah,
look
yeah,
it up
that's
right
right. Just watch the video. You'll see the whole thing.
there. Okay, just 1 second. Let's go back to here so we don't miss anything. And I've got to say, I really love the weathering on these shingles here.
Yeah, it's a lot of layers of paint. I a lot of my stuff is layering. I'm not so much. I always start with a black primer, craft paint. Most of my stuff is craft paint, but in the weathering part, I do use some washes like Agrax or Shader and stuff like that from Games Workshop. And but some of them are speed paints by Army Painter. I
Okay.
really like some of the speed paints lines that come out. They're great for weathering, actually. Not, I don't actually
Really?
use
Right.
them for what they are intended to be used for, is to speed your painting of your miniatures up. I actually use it for weathering. They're really good. They're like a little thicker than washes, and you can get some really interesting effects with them. So you got a lot of speed paints going on top of that roof. But I always start with my primary four colors of craft paint that I put on virtually every piece of terrain I build, and then I kind of go up from there. That's kind of my base color, and then I
Okay.
build up. They're all earth tones, right? All browns and tan colors, and then I just add colors to the top of it.
Okay, I'm also seeing a couple of other colors in there, like blue, for example, or light gray. I wouldn't have thought to use that in weathering, but it looks really good there.
Yeah, blue is when you want to add something like it's chipped paint or something like that that used to be on there. If you go with something really bright, put a very little on your brush and kind of just drag it over things, it just kind of leaves a little bit there, and it looks like paint left over, right? That maybe this was blue at one time, and it just adds to the old weathered look to it. And blue is a good color. Like that's a really dynamic blue that I'm using there. So you want to use a bright color. Like white works the same way. If you have just titanium white, you could drag it and do a similar effect.
Okay, and I'm seeing there's so it's one shot, but there are so many details in here that I'm just picking stuff up, and I pretty much want to ask about every one of them. So I'm looking at these little boxes here, which seem to be boxes of fruit or something like that.
Yeah, there's just now that one particularly is actually it's actually a miniature that's pre-made. I painted it, but these other things that are on there, those other
These boxes and crates and things.
yeah, I crafted those all on the channel. So those are all extra. Same as the fish netting. All that stuff was done on the channel. That other one was just painted. But I actually have one where I do fruit. Actually, a good way to make a box of fruit is using styrofoam. So that terrible white stuff that people don't know what to do with, and it gets into
Oh,
everything.
all right.
If you break it, yeah, if you break it and have the flat side, glue it down, and you got kind of like it looks like just a box of fruit
That's
or
genius.
potato or whatever. You could use it for coal. Maybe you're doing a mining scene. You can use it for coal. I'm actually going to use it in my next piece here. I'm going to do it for rubble. It would come just piles of rubble and just have these little bits of it glued everywhere. So I kind of found a use for that terrible white stuff
I
that
mean,
nobody really. They actually just use it for filler, right? And then they
yeah,
kind of put
exactly. I was going to
all
say that.
to hide it. But actually, I kind of, you know what? I decided that's a great way to make a bunch of little fruit. So, so I've done like one of my objective markers. I did like food and stuff like that, and I did that on there. I don't know if I sent a picture of that one, but anyways, you get the idea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's really genius. I would never have thought of using that for fruit and that kind of texture. Nice. I will have to remember that. And
Yeah, there's lots of options for that.
what about the netting? I know you mentioned it's on your channel, but kind of in summary, how is it?
So yeah, the netting is I get it from we got a store called the Spirit of Halloween. So in the Spirit of Halloween, they have something called Freaky Fabric. People use it for Halloween decorations or a zombie or a ghoul. You put it on top of your costume. But I find that it works good for a fish net. So you just kind of bunch it in that area, and then you add the black craft paint over top, and it just dries and hardens right in its place. And then you can go back and paint it up any way you like, and it's great for netting.
That's really neat. That's really neat.
Those little buoys, that's just beads. You hit that jewelry department,
Boys.
all the good stuff in jewelry department.
Ah, the boys on the netting.
Yeah,
Oh,
those are just the little
yeah, of course they
beads.
would. Bees would be the perfect size for that.
They look like a bowie, right?
Yeah.
So, yep, just glue them in there. Put a little red stripe on it. There you go. You got a bowie.
And oh, this looks good. Was this a game in progress, or did you throw everything on the table, or how?
I think this was actually done for an episode. I think I was trying to remember which piece of terrain I was featuring in this one.
All of them.
It
All
could
of
be
them.
the pier that it could be the pier that's at the very front.
Hmm?
So I kind of decided I wanted to do like a ruined pier. I didn't want to do an ordinary pier. I could have just done a dock with a plain old front on it or something like that. But I wanted to make it look like there was an old building there at one time, and they kind of built the docks off that. So there's a picture of it I did send you of that pier. I'm really happy with the stonework I did actually on that pier. It really looked really good. But that's kind of what's at the front there on the dock in the middle, and then I kind of when I film my episodes, I always do an ending portion of it where I kind of do like a flyby through the entire gaming table. And I kind of end off where the terrain piece that I built on the
Ah,
the
okay.
channel that day,
So you're
and
showing
you can
the
see how it
you're showing the piece in context as it fits in with the rest of the table, rather than just
correct.
the thing on itself
Yeah,
by its own.
yeah. See how it can fit on your game table, right?
Yeah. I'm also noticing that you use a lot of object source lighting in various places. I think we're going to have a closer look at that later, but yeah, you do seem to be using it in quite a few places.
Yeah, I started getting into adding lighting effects in certain things. Love the idea of having a lantern kind of partially lit certain areas. I mean, of course, this would be later in the evening. If you saw that, it wouldn't be kind of during the day. But it kind of adds a lot to it, even though
It
it's
does, yeah,
you got the daylight going here. It adds to the piece, right?
it does, definitely.
So I kind of attempted that on a few different things.
See, here's a close-up of one
Yeah, that's
with
so
the
I did
lanterns.
these sea walls. These are sea walls. And I never why I didn't think of this particular project earlier on. Of course, there would be seawalls on a port. These are actually inspired from Pirates of the Caribbean as well.
Really? All right.
When he went to the one port, they actually had a bunch of seawalls on there and
Okay.
docks going into it. So I kind of got a rough image of that and ran with it.
Okay. We have some questions in the chat. First of all,
Sure.
from Questboard Terrain. Are the skins made of tissue paper? I think you mentioned that that's when we were looking at the Wigwam, I think. That's when you mentioned that it's made of fabric.
Yeah, it's a really thin fabric that I got at Walmart. They have pre-cut. I just usually get the white colored, plain color.
Okay, and how do you make the trees?
How do I make the trees?
Yeah,
Well, unfortunately, those trees are not homemade. I would love to, but they are altered. So I get the trees from Amazon and Michaels. But when you get trees from those guys, they look like plastic, right? They're
yeah, yeah.
terrible looking. So I usually cut the seams off them so you can't see the mold lines. I usually end up painting virtually the entire tree, repainting it all. So especially the bark, a lot of details on the bark and a lot of details on the leaves themselves. If you add a lot of matte colors and different greens to the leaves, they look a lot more realistic. So a lot of people think I build my own trees. I don't. They're just from Amazon. I ordered them and I just alter them to they fit in with my rest of my terrain.
So are these also the same?
Yeah, those are from Michael's.
All right.
Yeah. Now I haven't dabbled in live plant life, and that's something that down the road that could be future episodes. I also want to do episodes where I make my own flocking, other stuff like that, right? So I haven't gone that deep dive yet. I'm still like buying things and then altering them so they fit into my terrain.
I mean, there, if you get something that you enjoy the look of that way, there's no need to spend 3 years mastering the art of making wire trees.
Yeah, I know that I've seen a lot of channels that do it. I haven't mustered up the strength and the courage yet, but I know I will at some
Okay.
point.
Okay. Word of
And that's
advice because
definitely
I
something that.
word of advice because I did that a lot in the 90s. Get some TIG gloves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna cut yourself a few times?
You're going to cut yourself a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice. Um,
Yeah,
I
because
tend to do some crazy stuff with my box cutter that probably is not safe.
it's not just the box cutter, but if you're working on wire trees and you've just got this wire, steel wire, you've cut the ends off. You've got
Oh yes,
hundreds of little knives there.
little razor blades.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it eventually.
Yeah.
Okay, so Liu Guin joined us. Good evening, sir. And again from Questboard Terrain, I don't think Dexter has said Mod Podge at all. What does he use to seal his work, if he does?
I don't use Mod Podge actually, and that's kind of a controversial thing that I do. A lot of it, welcome, you don't use Mod Podge, and you certainly could. It does harden things, and it makes it even more hard. But I just use craft paint. Multi layers of craft paint hardens is all you need. You don't need, if you want to add a little bit extra, you could add a little PVA, like white glue to it if you need to. But I've never actually used Mod Podge. Um, Now I know it can make it really like hard, and people like to use it. But all my terrain pieces, and of course my stuff's only been around for 3 years, some of my oldest stuff. But I haven't seen any deterioration on any of those pieces, and all I used was craft paint. So I don't know. It's questionable.
It
I'm
depends.
not saying you shouldn't do it. If you want extra strength, definitely do it. You can add it and mix it in with your craft paint, right? With the color. I know a lot of other channels do that actually,
I think it's
but I've
mostly
never actually.
for XPS foam though, rather than just. It's not something you put on everything.
Yeah, I know that. I don't. I just use craft paint, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Makes me different, but I find that the craft paint, if you do multiple layers, it gets hard enough. You don't need to put anything else on it.
yeah, and I usually use PVA and black paint to seal uh, XPS foam, but that's only so that I can spray on top of it. Because if you spray on top of the exposed XPS foam, you might melt it. But other than
Yeah,
that, at the end of it, just give it a seal of varnish. That's going to be a lot harder than any amount of Mod Podge would make it.
yeah, yeah. I've done some varnishing on some of my miniatures for sure because I handle them a lot, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I kind of just and these things I've seen rigorous play and they're in good condition still. So I'm not I'm not overly sold on the whole idea of using Mod Podge, but I know that some people have told me, why aren't you using the Mod Podge? And I'm like, well, okay. I mean, I could, but I don't. I find I don't really need to. So
Um,
just an
uh,
extra step I don't need to use.
I'm really amazed because I know I've seen some people use it on wood to make it harder. Like
Yeah,
it's wood.
yeah, especially like balsa wood and stuff like that, soft, right?
No, no, I think it was something like something ripped off a pallet and cut down to make a board of some kind, I think. But yeah, that was it. Why? It's
Yeah.
wood and stone. It's not going to get any harder.
Yeah, that's true. It's rigid already. Don't worry about it. I would say maybe that's another thing. I use a lot of wood in my pieces, right? So
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
probably adds a lot of strengths to it.
Okay. I mean, again, mod podge is a tool for a particular task, but I think too many people just apply it to everything without understanding why they're doing that. It's not going to
Yeah,
hurt, but sometimes you don't need it all the time.
yeah, that's for sure. It's not going to hurt. It's going to give you extra strengths for sure.
But quite a good-looking tongue going over there.
Yeah, this is my first European. I did a port of Plunder. They called it the port of Plunder, and you can see in the background that's the church I was talking about
Yeah,
earlier.
I see it.
There's a bell tower there. That was one of the first pieces of terrain. That was about the third one or fourth one I built, but it came out great. That one in the front is the Tudor style building that I built on
Mhm.
the channel. It's one of a pretty popular episode. A lot of people like that one, and it just I wanted to. I didn't want to just have like a shoreline with a couple of huts and stuff like that. Nah, I wanted like roads and I wanted docks and I wanted like a whole like port, like a real port. You're plundering a real port, and it just adds to the game. Um, so that's one of the ones I built, and I actually that's the first time I actually used that's insulation foam that's sitting on the whole base.
Okay.
I kind of got away from building like the giant bases. Again, like I said, I just kind of added to the bottom of the terrain instead and did it more modularized. So as I developed further on, I decided I wanted to make it more transportable by having each piece of terrain have its own little unique features on it, right?
That makes sense.
Opposed to having to just plop it onto a bigger mat because then I don't have to bring that big foam board everywhere, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, I was trying to make things more transportable. So it kind of as I evolved over time, I kind of changed that. I still like this and I still use it. It's still awesome, showstopper on the game table there. You want your pork, right?
Oh, for sure.
Um,
And I see that you've got a
but
lot of little stuff again going on around here.
Yeah, that's the market over there with a warehouse up top. I kind of researched 17th century warehouses, and that's kind of what they look like. So I kind of built it looking at images online.
Nice.
So you can definitely see my evolution of different types of windows in there. You can see
Oh yeah.
that building in the very back, the big red one.
Yes.
I actually just cut the windows out of foam, but you can see how they're not quite straight. They're kind of crooked. It always kind of irks me because I think the building's really nice. I just don't like the windows. I eventually moved into framing like the one in the front here,
Hmm?
framing them with like balsa wood and matchsticks and stuff like that, and that came out much better. It looks more realistic, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One thing I've been seeing going on a lot is Lego windows.
Yeah, those kind of do look like Lego windows. Those ones.
But yeah, I mean, if you can do it in matchsticks or whatever, same principle.
Yeah, it's straighter than just trying to like I tried to freehand it with a box cutter and stuff like that. Yeah, it didn't work out very well. Again, I learned my lesson.
I really like this detail of the suit around the top of the chimney.
Yeah, that's those caps on the top. One of them is a cap from my glue, my white glue. And another one's like one of those little wooden dowels you get in one of those cheap IKEA sets that you put together. Came out for a good little chimney details on the top there.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, these are your nesting houses, yeah?
Yeah, those are the nesting houses. So this is kind of them with their roof caps on. Um, and yeah, I
Oops,
think I have
wrong
a
order.
picture
One
of,
sec.
there's a picture of was, yeah, there.
There we go.
That was all was them off. So they all just fit into each other. And it really how I just made it is just like kind of did an inch and a half smaller on each one, and just kind of as it went along, they got smaller as it went down, and there was enough room there to fit them all into each other. Now you have to take in consideration for the height of the floor too, right?
Of
So they
course,
added
yeah.
popsicle sticks and stuff to the height of the floor. So even a small fraction of a difference in height can actually throw the whole thing off.
I actually remember
So
thinking when I was watching your video and you mentioned it, I was like, yes, that is exactly the kind of thing I would forget.
yeah, yeah, that's the thing that you would forget is okay. Well, every time you add popsicle sticks to the floor of each one of those, you've actually raised the height of everything by a smidgen, right? By the time you get to the fourth one, well, you've raised it by quite a bit. So you gotta. I always what I did to measure it is I put the popsicle sticks in there, not glued them down, just so I could see what the height looked like and see how
Aha.
much clearance I had. So I kind of had to play around with that a little bit to make sure that everything fit properly.
Yeah, and I can see what you were talking about earlier about the size of the doors being important because your eye kind of goes to those, so the scale of the building itself doesn't really hit you immediately.
No, no. Yeah, and you kind of have it in a town square kind of formation, and it just looks like a town.
Yeah,
You can't really tell that they're all smaller than each other.
yeah, that's a really good point to remember. Okay, so on this one again, this the native village, yeah.
Yeah, native village. So it's kind of a fortification. Kind of looked at a lot of different imageries of early North American native forts, and they kind of had a spiral, kind of. It kind of has an opening you can see at the top there,
Uh-huh.
and it just kind of goes in a spiral formation, and then yeah, all the wigwams, and I built a couple of extra wigwams there, and a longhouse and other one I built. So yeah, I got a whole little village going on there. So it's a little bit bigger than most game tables would have it, but actually it's more of a realistic size. I know some people are like, well, the walls are too tall. I'm like, well, actually, if you look at images, they're not actually. That's how tall they were. They used long, tall timbers. They didn't want people to climb over it real easily.
Yeah, that was the
And
whole
for
point
so I
of them.
didn't make it playable. Yeah, you can see that there is a ramp that goes all the way around the wall. Like you can climb your guys up on
This
there,
one down
and the
up the front, yeah.
staircase that I made, you can get your minis up it, right?
Hmm.
So in
I
Blood and
think I
Plunder,
can
you only
see them
move so
here.
inches at a time. So
Say again, sorry, I didn't catch the last thing.
in Blood and Plunder, you move 4 inches at a time. So I wanted to make sure that even you could even play on the staircase. So if you only got halfway up the staircase, it didn't
Ah,
matter.
of
Your
course.
minis would stay there, and you could play on the staircase, right?
Yeah.
You can fight from the staircase. So I kind of just wanted to make it all playable on there. So yeah, it's a little tall, but as far as game playing, people make things a little bit smaller on game tables and not like accurate in size. So yeah, so this is a top view of it. You can see a little bit better now.
This looks
All the
amazing.
walkways that are up there.
How do you make the walls? Because I'm pretty sure they're solid, but they look really fragile like this.
Well, it's actually willow fencing that I got from the dollar store. So people use
No
these
way.
to trim out their garden. They put them in the garden, so they're actually
Uh-huh.
coated with a protective coating. And I painted them all with black craft paint and painted the color I wanted to paint them.
Oh God,
So I wanted them to give that timbered look.
so,
But actually, and they're glued to bases and stuff like that. But it actually has a lot of strength to it. So it looks fragile, but it's actually really not. They're pretty sturdy pieces.
okay. So we're not going in there sticking one rod, two rod, three rod,
Oh, they've already
658
made
rod.
them.
Oh, okay. That's
Like they didn't have a ramp or nothing on there. Like I
yeah,
had to
of
add
course. I mean,
some
but
kind of details to it, but or nothing. But overall, the wall's already assembled. They have a nice sturdy wire. I painted it, so you can't tell what it is. But yeah, it's essentially a willow fence.
yeah, that's a brilliant use of material because, like I said, I think I'd probably go and like try to just find sticks and then just glue them side by side. But that wouldn't even have thought of that.
Yeah, it's already pre-made for you. You already got a head start.
Okay. Oh, this is good.
So this one actually is made out of a Popeyes drinking cup. that I got from a fast food restaurant. That's what that is.
The base around here?
Yeah, the base of it's just a drinking cup from Popeyes, and but I really it came out really well. I kind of did that whole design for the the sails itself. I use that same material I was talking about. The I use it actually for the sails on my ship too.
Okay. Oh, so this is
Um,
fabric as well?
yeah, it's
All
also
right.
from Walmart, and I just kind of painted it on with black craft paint, and it just seals it into place. And then you can go back and add all your details. And I added some patches on there, and all I did was just glue more pieces of little fabric over top, and then just painted over top of it, so they stay in place as they harden, and then you just paint them in, right? You get all the details you want in there, and it's got a kind of a three-dimensional look to it.
Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking of making a windmill for some time, but I ended up just diving through different designs of windmills and trying to pick one. I'll probably end up having to make a couple of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty good. I would want to make maybe a different one time, maybe a variation of a windmill, but that one looks more like a sugarcane one that's appropriate for the what I was talking about, the plantation.
A sugarcane windmill?
Yeah, sugarcane windmill. Yeah, that's what they look like. I don't have it flipped around, but on the inside, I actually built the turbines where they crush the sugarcane and everything in there,
Oh,
so it's
okay.
actually got a lot of details on it. But you can't see it
Cool.
flipped around the other way. But
I don't think we have a picture of that, yeah? Yeah, okay, but we'll have to look for that in your channel. And this it's like some kind of palisade or something. Sorry.
yeah, Palisade Fort. So you get kind of a mixture of pieces here. That little small house in the middle is actually from the nesting houses. So, you don't have to use it just for that one village. You can use it for the inside of your fort, right? Why not, right?
Yeah, modularity.
Um, and then there was an objective marker there was all the battlements on there. So munitions and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Just boxes and crates of cannons and swords and stuff like that. And then, of course, I made gabions up at the top there, and that where the cannons are up top there. I did that on the channel. It's a fortification that I built. And then there's the tower that we built on the channel. Spike walls is on the fortification channel.
Is
So
this
all those things are built on here, except for that outer, like where your cursor is right now,
yeah?
that wall, just that L shape right there. That's actually one of the terrain pieces that Firelock Games does sell. They sell a
Oh, all right.
Palisade Fort. So I kind of wanted to build my terrain to match the rest of it,
Yeah,
so it looks like it all fits together.
does. Is this a duck house down here?
It's a well.
Ah, okay.
It,
I was
you can't
wondering.
see the
Yeah,
bottom of it. It's a top view.
yeah, I was wondering because it looks like a roof, but it's tiny. Is that a dog house? Do they keep a dog in there?
Yeah, no, it's a little well.
Ah, okay. And this is the house with the coffins that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah, yeah, I was really happy how this one turned out. I think I got another image that I sent you. That's a front view of it too. Or did I send one with it all taken apart?
Uh,
With the oh yeah, I see it right there. It's just next to.
this one.
That's the front view of it. Yeah.
And let's see, all taken apart.
It's like a few over to the left there. Yeah,
This one.
right at the edge. There it is,
Ah,
right
okay,
there. Yeah.
okay. Aha.
So you can see the different sections. I made the staircases playable. It fits the standard Blood and Plunder mini, so that you can play on again, fight on the staircase if you want. So everything's playable in there. So you got a couple of rooms in there. Of course, when I plan on doing the governor's mansion, it's going to have a lot more rooms and more elaborate things in it, fireplaces, and all sorts of crazy stuff. But it's going to take me a while to build that thing. But this is kind of a precursor to that. It's kind of giving me the experience and what I need to know
Kind
how to
of
build it right.
building up to it.
That's right, building up to this massive project that I want to do.
Okay, let's 1 second. Oh, hi Dungeon Matron. Happy Mother's Day. And Campaign Terrain is asking, is the thatch made out of coconut fiber?
The thatched roof?
I'm guessing it's the thatched roof one, the one we're looking at previously, because there's a bit of a delay on the chat. So let's see. I'm guessing he was talking about this one.
Yeah, so that roof is actually made of rope. So
Oh,
if you take rope and you take it apart, it actually comes it's good for a thatched roof. Especially, I use it for hay bales too. So if you just dismantle the rope, you can get a fairly thick rope, and then you take it apart right down to the fibers, and then you can shape them in any way you like. I use them to make a thatched roof on there, but I've used them to make hay bales and all sorts of different stuff.
nice.
Yeah, rope is handy. And you get it at the dollar store, really cheap.
And then Jimate is saying, oh my god, looking at the shingles made me realize I can use the offcuts from my balsa wood fence as shingles.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used I like to use tongue depressors or popsicle sticks. You just break them on the end and you just kind of glue them in planks. It looks like just all ratty wood or something like that on a roof. I really like that look. That roof is made actually out of insulation foam.
This
This
one?
one.
The one on the.
Yeah. Yeah, I made those out of insulation foam.
Okay,
So they got a nice little texture to them.
sure do.
And you got a lot of balsa wood, popsicle sticks, lots of matchsticks in there.
What do you use for
You
the
know, all my
attachment on
favorites.
this sign here? For the
Yeah, so it
chain, whatever.
kind of made the sign look a little ratty. I guess the one in the Pirates of the Caribbean is just hanging on one chain. And actually, the symbol that's on it, I don't have a good image I sent you, but it's actually a heart with a bunch of nails put through it. And actually looked up period pieces logos for different like carpenters and blacksmiths and stuff like that, and that's where I got that symbol from. I hand painted that on there. I wish I'd taken more pictures of it, but anyways, you go to my channel, you'll be able to see it. I have lots of images of it. Um, but it's just the chain is from Michaels. It's just jewelry chain, and I use magnetic clasps, so it just magnetic on there, so you can pull it off if you want. It's just on by magnet. I like magnets for stuff like that. You can just pull them on, pull them off.
Oh, neat. All right. So that's replaceable kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Made it easier to paint too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, of course, I painted it before I stuck it on there, but I mean, you could pull it off and touch it up if you wanted to. But and this is the first one I did actually shutters on the windows, which I really like, and I'm definitely going to probably add that to future builds. I like that detail. It just adds to the image of the building. So you can't see down in the dark area where the coffin is down there. There's
Oh,
actually a window open down there, right where the gap is.
all right.
And I have the shutter; it's partially open on one of the windows. Just stuff like that. It just adds a lot extra detail to it.
Sure does. What's this tile looking thing over here? Just over the window?
That's actually if you go to the dollar store, they sell pre-made squares and circles, little wooden things. I just glued it on there, put some decoration on there.
Ah, okay.
I've done where I put a logo on it, like on a shop or a store or something like that.
All right.
It's all pre-made, just paint it.
Okay. Ah, here, another view of the nesting houses.
Yeah, that's them nested into each other. So you can see there's a bit of space between each one. So you got lots of room to put your roof caps on. Now I did make I originally wanted to put a thatched roof on the stone one in the center, but I realized that the thatched roof is too fat and you can't put it in there.
Okay.
I've used up all my room, so I ended up having to go with the tongue depressors that I snapped, which I'm not sad about. It looks good, but I kind of misjudged. I forgot. Well, you need a lot more room if you're going to put a thatched roof on that thing, and it's going to be too puffy. So I kind of had to make that call as I was building it. Originally, I planned to put a thatched roof on it, but it didn't work out that way.
It looks quite surreal in this shot. It's
Yeah, it fits pretty good together.
I really love this building. It's got some kind of blacksmith, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a blacksmith's house. Yeah, that's a forge. That forge actually works. I have a bunch of little plastic shards that I got from the dollar store in there, and I used a kind of like a red paper underneath, and then I have a little slot for a tea light. So you can replace the tea light when it dies. So you can just keep putting a new tea light in there. So your forge can go forever.
Yeah, that's
And then this is my first time I dabbled in light effects,
mhm.
um, where I painted some of the the shading from the forge. If you look inside, you can't see it in this picture, but inside there's a lot of color that I put on the inside, so it looks like it's glowing the entire inside of the roof cover. And that roof cover is detachable. I usually take it off and use it as a boathouse sometimes off my docks.
Ah, okay, that's modular.
Multi-purpose terrain, yeah. I've contemplated actually doing a piece where I could get like 5 different options from the same piece of
All
terrain
right.
to use just by changing things. I think there's a potential there for some cool ideas that I've been mulling around in my head. When I'm building a project that I'm supposed to be focused on, right?
I'm just looking in the chat here. So, campaign terrain saying 3 nails in a heart seem like a riff on the Three of Swords tarot card. Cool idea. Lewis is saying, I was going to say it's a kill switch engage album cover. To be honest, I think some album covers wouldn't look out of place on some of those signs.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's sometimes I just play around with what it actually historically would look like, just to fit my own personal narrative. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Lewis also says,
I've gotten a few shots from a few button counters about that's not historically correct. I'm like, okay, whatever, man.
just okay, go ahead, build a better one.
Yeah.
Okay, Lewis is saying the wooden shapes are super useful. I bought a load of circles for custom tokens for games like Flames of War. Okay,
Cool.
and Dungeon Matron, can't you flip the roofs upside down in the smaller houses when storing them?
How do I store all these pieces?
No,
Well, let's just say I got a lot of bookshelves.
she's asking, can you flip the roofs upside down in the smaller houses when storing them? I wouldn't think
No,
so,
the
no?
roofs come off. They're detachable because you want to play through the roof. Like you want to play into the building, right? So some of them wedge in pretty good though. So you probably could if you have a nice tight fit on some of them. Like this one here, I could probably flip it upside down and the roof wouldn't come off. The hang over top of the forge wood definitely fall off.
No, I think she's talking about the nesting houses still, but yeah, I wouldn't
Oh,
think so because they fit exactly, I think, yeah?
yes. I know that some people have built the same kind of version of that, but they built them to go on top of each other.
Mhm.
So, but those buildings are hollow, like they're not playable on the inside, right? So I knew I couldn't do it that way, where you just kind of put them on top of each other. I know I've seen people do it that way, and they have kind of a magnetic bottom that holds the whole thing together so it doesn't fall apart. Um, but because I wanted them to be playable through every building, I had to do it the other way, where I put them in top and I had the roofs loose. But when you get to right down to the three in the inside are pretty solid. Like it won't come apart that easy. But if you shake it, yeah, it'll fall apart. But that's not what it was intended to do, right? I mean, it got to Adepticon in one piece, so in my
Earth,
luggage.
Earthman Brick is saying solid painting and crafting, very Mordheim-esque. I'd say it's probably a bit in a bit of better condition than what we'd get in Mordheim, but yes, it looks well lived in.
Yeah.
Let's here. Okay.
Yeah, it's me dabbling in some more light effects.
It's a really good gradient and some good warmth in there.
Yeah, this was I got inspired by Lord of the Rings, the dock ferry that they escaped from. Huckleberry Ferry, I think it was called.
Yeah, Buckleberry Ferry or something.
Huckleberry Ferry, yeah.
Berries were in there somewhere for sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it didn't have a swivel gun though, or whatever it is.
But I don't think the ones they had swivel guns on it though. So
Yeah.
I added my piratey goodness to it. That yes, if you're taking this dock ferry, you can actually shoot somebody with your swivel guns.
Yeah, the Fellowship of the Ring might have turned out quite different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the block fort, right?
Yeah, this is the blockhouse. Like I said, this is my son's favorite piece. That again is fully playable. Um, you got two floors, and that fireplace that I have that's going through the roof. It actually has through the entire piece. There's actually different spots where the fireplace is open, so it looks like it's in on the interior.
Okay.
So I kind of built it all the way through to the bottom. So it doesn't matter which floor you're on. There's a fireplace there attached to that chimney. And it also helps you know which way to put things back together. See?
Of course.
You just line up the chimney, man, and you can't go
That's
wrong.
really useful. Saves
Yeah.
you having to go like, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah, I know. It's because it only fits the one way, right? So you could, you just have to put the chimney in and it fits properly. So this is some terrain I built for Blood and Steel. This is a Zulu village, and they use a lot of thorn fences to fence in their villages. And those thatched roofs on there is that rope I was talking about earlier.
Nice.
That's just rope that I pulled apart to build those. And that thorn walls are actually made out of Christmas decorations. So if you go to the dollar store at Christmas time, they have these lovely, god awful, ugly, whatever they are, with little, with all these little bows on them, and they throw little holly on it, and you cut all that lovely, and they even had crystals on it. I don't know why you had the crystals on it. It's just terrible. Anyways, I cut all that junk off. Maybe I could use it for something else in the future, but I kept it, so it's material. But I liked the dried thorns that it had. They were like cured, and they had like a material that they put on them, so they're sturdier. And they're good for building something like this, like a thorn wall, right? So I kind of built some modular. That one has a doorway on it, and the other two, I built two of the longer ones. All those I built on the channel. That was a dollar store build. I also built the hay bales at the same time.
Okay.
They actually, the Zulu, when they farm, they would actually stack them in high stacks like that, not in. There's no way to roll them, and I know some people put in squares. I'm like, well, that's not. I'm being the button counter now, saying, well, that's not historically correct. They wouldn't have done that. They don't have machines to do that. They roll them and just tie them with a rope. Yeah.
Oh.
They also use them to put on their roofs, right? Repair the roof.
I get you. I think there's just a part of one of the base.
Yeah, just part of one right on the corner there. Yeah. I don't have it expanded out. There's more on the table, but.
Okay, good. Oh, I love this.
So that's that pier that we looked at the overhead view of.
Yeah, the ruined building.
This is the front view of it. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to have some kind of destroyed building that used to be on the pier here, back in that time period, they had a lot of structures on the docks. They did a lot of trade right on the docks, and also, unfortunately, slave trading and that kind of stuff, right? And they would have these kind of structures on there. So this was part of the pirate port. So I kind of wanted a destroyed version of one, and I really did a lot of stonework on this one too. Came out good.
I was going to say I really like the stonework on this because you've got the variety of large blocks, small blocks. It looks very rich.
It's got a great for what I built it for. I was contemplating even using this for bolt action. Maybe it's just a bombed out building on a shoreline or something like that, right?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
And I think this is the same building from a different angle, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, from the back side. Yeah, so you can see the dock extends out. There's just a ladder going up to the second floor. And just kind of, they got all their cargo and stuff they're trading right here. And they're all the same height, so they connect to all the other docks that I've built. So same as a dock ferry, it all is the same height, so everything can connect to it.
Yeah, just checking the miniatures out, and I like the details like the stripy pants and stuff like that.
Yeah, some piratey goodness, man. It's piratey goodness.
Proper piratey pantaloons.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Next.
This is more of the frontier fort that I built on the channel. Was the blockhouse. Kind of went into the diamond shape, you know,
The bastions,
shape
yeah, yeah.
to the walls. So this one I didn't get at the dollar store. I actually had to build this by hand, and I built it on the channel. Those are
Ouch.
mostly dowels, and that's insulation foam. That the base topped up with popsicle sticks
I'm guessing
to
it took
give
a
that
minute.
wooden plank look. And then I built that whole little guard house there.
There's one up on top of the door.
Yeah, the top comes off that too. You can play inside that.
What about the gallows and the wagon here? Those.
So the wagon and the gallows are actually from a Mantic game
All
kit,
right.
a Town Square, I think it's called. But I just gave it the same color scheme as everything else, so it matches the rest of my terrain. Yeah, that well that you were looking at earlier in the fort, it's also there too.
Okay.
There was a lovely top there. That's also from that Mantic Town Square kit.
I gotcha. And
Just the backside of the church.
this is the church you
Some
were
ruins and
telling
some
us about earlier,
jungles.
yeah?
Yeah. Wish I had it lit up. I'd actually put. I used. I don't know if you're in your basement for covers for your window, like for your light fixtures that are up
Mm-hmm.
there. I actually broke those up into shards and I used them as stained glass in the windows.
Oh, whoa.
And I actually used wash on those windows to put different colors on them. So when you put the tea lights inside of that, you'll get all sorts of interesting colors coming out. I didn't have the church lit up. I wish I had a picture of it lit up, but there is some on my channel you can see lit up, or on my Instagram page, pictures of it. That's just ruins that I built. That's something else I built on the channel. Some of those terrain pieces with the palm trees. I'm going to build something similar this coming week as ruins, but it's going to be more of a Aztec kind of ruins, more of a
Nice.
yeah, and just scatter bits, so smaller pieces, but I wanted to use some some stuff I got from Michael's, and I had some plans for building something like that.
Yeah.
I
Hello?
got some of my modular roads that I built on there. They're on this picture here. Yeah, there's some cobblestone ones, and then there's some that are just
Some
look
like
like
mud
paths
road, yeah?
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
I was thinking that.
but also that's actually one of my more popular episodes was when I built those roads on the channel.
The roads, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roads and painting stone. Those are, I think, my two of my most popular episodes.
Okay, this is a
That's
different view of
another angle of that Zulu village.
village, yeah.
Yeah, just a more close up table view. You can see I got Zulu shields at the doorways of the of the huts there.
Just over here, I think, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got
I can
some
see the stripes,
details
yeah.
in there. Yeah,
The thorns really look the part.
yeah, yeah. I really like those the way those thorns turned out. They look good. Looks a lot like what they look like in real life. They still use that method today
Really?
for a lot of their yeah.
Oh,
So they build a lot of their keep their livestock. They have some circular ones like that. They still use those kind of walls.
I see.
So this is kind of a just using my those what am I calling now? I've lost my words here. The seawalls. That's what I'm talking about.
Ah, okay.
I just incorporated it with small islands to make this kind of a piratey little string of islands attached to some terrain here. And
Yeah,
I kind of have a few connected together. This is kind of actually this was actually a game that I played out with my son. So there's the pirates are on one end, and I think it's the English Navy is at the top corner. They don't look much of a navy; it's two longboats in a boat. But it's a raiding party. You use your imagination. They're raiding these pirates that are on this fortress of islands. So they're coming to clean them up.
I really like the look of these rocks over here.
Yeah, I'd like to do more stones and rocks for sure. I haven't done a lot of those, but well, I say not a lot of those, but yeah, I got the seawall and I got the pier, but I mean like big ones like that.
Big
I would say the
natural rock
closest,
formations, yeah?
yeah, the closest one I did was that one I did recently, the Pirates of the Caribbean kind of inspired pirate warning island. That actually was a big stone thing that I built that would be out in the bay or whatever. I
Okay,
don't know if I sent that picture to you. I don't know if I had finished it when I sent the pictures to you. It wasn't done yet.
we'll have
But
a look shortly, but I believe this is the part from the blacksmith house,
you're
yeah?
right. That's right. That's now Kanoa Boathouse.
Okay. And
Why not?
what's this?
Elaborate it.
What's this thing over here?
Which one?
It's
So
like,
that's from that Mantic kit too. I actually use it as a marker to identify where the center of the game board is.
oh,
So
okay.
certain objectives in the games require you to be past a certain point, otherwise you get strike points and you can lose the game. So this just kind of reminds me where the dead center portion of the game table is. So I kind of usually use that. I actually have another one with a skeleton and a wheel now that I use more often than that one. So it's just kind of a reminder to me. So kind of really is just part of the game. But that looks like something that could be in the bay that just identifies how deep the water is or whatever, right?
Oh, okay, I guess. Makes sense.
But it's more for gameplay that piece there.
Man, I'm looking at all these photos and I can't believe you did all this in just a couple of years. It's amazing.
Yeah, and some people it's like, how did you get time to do all this stuff? And I'm like, well, okay, so it is tricky to. I have certain days that I craft on, and then there are certain days I don't, and um, I've kind of moved to more of now doing kind of bi-weekly or I had done 3 episodes on and one off kind of thing. But originally I was doing them every week. Every week I
Whoa.
had a new terrain episode out. So, I don't need to. I mean, I think I can do it every bi-weekly. It's fine. Get something out for people to see. It gives me more time to do more elaborate projects. I find if I do too many multi-series videos, that's why I'm kind of dreading the Governor's Mansion. You don't get as many viewership that actually watches it all the way through.
It's
They
weird, but yeah, I've noticed that kind of thing as well, yeah.
yeah, they rather just see the whole thing done at once, right? So, but then again, you only got 16, 20 minutes for them to even pay attention, and otherwise they if it's too long, they won't watch for it either. But I find my painting tutorials that are longer, people do sit there and watch the whole thing. So
Okay, that's
sometimes they
interesting.
paint along, I
All right,
guess. Yeah.
would imagine so, yeah.
So I guess it just depends on what you're doing.
Okay, hello Dungeons and Chronics, just joined us in the chat. And okay, another view of the fortress. Oh, this might be a game in progress, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, this is another one. This actually, I love this mat. It's actually by Cigar Box Battle. It in the center of the mat is just one big island. So it's really great for Blood and Plunder. But you could use it for all sorts of games. Really, it's a cool little island. So I tried to do this island fortress, and I got. I believe it's the English again fighting the pirates.
Say again, sorry?
Or maybe it's the Spanish in that fort, and I have the English invading a Spanish fort. I can't remember. I played them so many. I got a Spanish mission in the middle. That where you just had the cursor there. It's probably the Spanish fort that I did. Yeah.
Okay. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yep. So this is actually another game scenario from Fire on the Frontier for Blood and Plunder. It's where I actually did a reversal in the actual game itself. It calls for a native village, behind a palisade wall. But I did the Europeans and the natives invading the European town. So just kind of reverse the roles, just because I want to do something a little different. It was actually for the summer of Plunder. We do a gaming tournament in the summertime, and this was one of the objectives that week that you get extra points for if you actually played this particular scenario. But I changed it up to make it a little more interesting. But I took some pictures as I was playing the match.
What's going on in here? Can't wait to make
Yeah, I wish I had a better shot of that. That's actually cornfields. If you
Ooh.
get down in front ways, you'll see I actually handmade all those corns and sunflowers down there. Yeah, I didn't actually buy those ones. I actually crafted those ones.
So
it's actually part of the village accessories episode I think I did.
Okay. Yeah, definitely looking this one up.
It worked out good, that one. It was time consuming, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hello, beautiful.
Yeah, so this is another game match we were playing. I just kind of wanted to show some of the terrain pieces in action. Like this is an actual game that's being played, right? Where again, this is a amphibious assault. That's the great thing about Blood and Plunder is you can play amphibious, where you're invading from the sea, or you can play sea to sea battle, where you're just playing ships fighting each other, or you can do just straight up land battle. So you pretty well can do anything in that game. There's the rules allow you to do a lot of things in it. So that's why another reason why I was drawn to that game. It's really cool. I like the rule set for it. So you can have epic slings like this. Yeah, this epic match. I'm about to get raked from behind though. That little bark is gonna rake me.
Or this one. Yeah. Sorry, I mean you mean the little sailing boat from behind you?
Yeah, the one with all the patches on it's he's gonna sail back there. If you rake somebody, if you're perfectly aligned to the back of a ship, it's most vulnerable at the back. And you can rake somebody and you can shoot right through all their decks and do a lot of damage to their ship and the crew on it. The unfortunate crew that are on it. Yeah. So I was trying to offload my English Marines there onto that seawall. And actually, I think the opponent was playing the French in this one. And yeah, they were waiting for me on the seawall there. I can see some guys in the field there shooting at my ship there, right behind the seawall. Anyways, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and looking at the ship, that looks like a lot of fun to build and paint.
Yeah, that is another Firelock Games model. That's a light frigate. That's they have outstanding ships. Part of Blood and Plunder. That's one of the most popular things that they sell, because people use them for Dungeons and Dragons and other things. Right? They're really usable for a lot of games. They have big decks because they're meant to be played. You're meant to play the game on top of the decks of the ship. So they lend themselves to other games, right?
So they're designed to have troops moved over the top of them and.
Correct. Yeah. Lots of room on top of the decks. And you can see that they're broken into sections. You see you got 1, 2, 3 sections on there.
Yep.
So that's how you move into sections. Like you fight into that was a 3-section boat. That bark that's coming up the back there only is a 2-section, and that longboat's only a 1. So that's how you move through them. You move into the section that they are, right?
I get you. Yeah, I think once ships for Blood and Crowns come out, I think it's like I told you yesterday. I think my wallet is going to be a bit sad.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that whole thing, that whole prospect. So here's a little frontier house I built. I usually play this piece of terrain. I take it right off this little base. But I use a base sometimes. Again, like I said, I like to base my terrain. So you can just use it as a hut for something else, or you can just add it back to this piece and you got all this playing surface there.
I love the details in here.
Yeah, I got that's a medallion I got from Michael's. Again, raiding the jewelry department at Michael's. All sorts of cool stuff you can find in there. Oh yeah, it fits nice. Yeah, it has a kind of like an oak tree kind of design on it. It actually kind of looks like an entranceway to a hobbit's house, to be honest.
Yeah, now that you mention it, it does have that kind of vibe.
Yeah, it could have been added to something like that.
And I'm seeing that. What do you use for door handles?
That's the same thing I use for my bowies. That's just a bead.
Oh,
So if you flip it the one way and then you paint it, you can paint it metallic or whatever you want, and it looks like a door handle.
aha.
I got like tons of beads. Yeah, beads come in handy, especially when they look like bowies or handles. Now that skull above the door, I carved that by hand, just out of foam.
Nice.
I just winged it.
I didn't realize it was made out of foam. I thought it was a part of a miniature kit or something. That's really good work.
Yeah, I'm starting to get better at manipulating the foam. Yeah.
You know what? One other thing I'm liking here is these little flowers, purple flowers that on the steps. And
Yeah, I really try to add a lot of different plant life, different types of plant life, because you got all sorts of grasses in there. You got
yeah,
teddy bear fur in there. You have like just little tufts that I got from different kits. I use if you go into Michael's where they have, I don't know, some people make resin jewelry where they have like sink like flowers and stuff into it, and then
yes,
they
yes.
harden the resin. But you can buy all the stuff that they stick in there separately. So that those details that are like that garlic stuff that's hanging from the doorway, all that stuff is from Michael's, and it's good for just adding stuff to your terrain piece, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's all pre-made, just glue it on. Most people sink it into resin, but you can use it for other things, like I have. Yeah.
I'm noticing this kind of team where you're really good at picking out materials from different sources.
Oh yeah, I wander around the craft stores and dollar stores looking for stuff. That's what I do.
Oh, ship.
So this is my English fleet. So I was the English commander, which, by the way, we won the Summer Plunder. My team won last year, and to entice people, this was one of the pictures that I took of my British fleet sailing off to victory in the Blood and Plunder Summer Plunder tournament. So here's some. That's all my British ships that I have right now.
Uh, what size of table do you play this on?
What's that?
What size of table do you play this on? Is it like an 8x6
I
table or?
usually, yeah, if you're gonna do a land battle, you could do 3x4. If you're doing a sea battle, I recommend something bigger. I usually I use a big one, 8x6, like it's a giant table. I like to maneuver around, but the rules are allow you to, if you get too close to the edge, you just move everything back like 10 inches, and so it's like you're scrolling the map, so you
Okay, I
never
got you.
fall off the table. Yeah, so you can just keep playing on the table. It gets tricky when you have. It's okay if you're just playing a sea battle because there's not a whole lot of terrain on the table.
Yeah.
So it gets a little tricky when you're doing a shoreline and you're having a ship battle and you got to move the whole shoreline. Well, that gets a little tricky. But usually that's an amphibious assault and you're not really doing a lot of ship maneuvering. But when you're doing a sea to sea battle, yeah, it's pretty easy to scroll the table. It's not a big deal.
Still brilliant work on these. Huh?
Yeah, that you got there. That one right in the front is the light frigate. In the corner is a six-rate frigate. It's a really big one on the front.
Okay.
In the very back is a sloop. And then the other ship is the corvette. And then the one that's right here on the back end is the one I built on the channel. I actually made it out of spare parts I had left over from another Corvette.
Oh, all right.
And I used insulation foam, and I kind of constructed that I kit bashed it out of all of the ship kits
Nice.
to make that one. And actually, it's a schooner.
Love it. I'm just wondering about how long it would take to do all this rigging and stuff.
Yeah, it's time consuming. They send you elastic band kind of rigging, so it's great for especially when I did those transportable ships because you don't necessarily have to glue the mast down.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tighten the rigging in a certain way, and then you just lift up your mast and you can fold the ship down, right?
Okay.
And you can transport it. A lot of fun though. Highly
Yeah.
recommend this game.
Yeah, that does sound like fun, but no, I'm just looking at these and I'm thinking when I was little, I say about 5 years old, I always really loved those ships in a bottle. I
Oh yes,
I had to look at how long it takes to make rigging, never mind getting it in the bottle and stuff like that was like rigging.
yeah. The rigging is
Nope,
time consuming.
not happening.
No,
5-year-old me says no.
yeah, you get good at it after a while.
I'm sure you do. Okay, and another shot of the village.
I think it's in our shot of the port of Plunder. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the
The,
hardest part was trying to send you pictures was picking some. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures that I posted of Blood
yeah,
and Plunder, and oh yeah, it was just. Can I? I didn't want to send you too many, but I think I sent you quite a bit.
I mean
But
it's a fair amount here,
uh,
but I appreciate that you took the time to pick because sometimes some people who shall not mention did dump about 2G of photos on me for me to choose.
yeah,
And yeah, I would agree with them that it is very hard to pick from those because they all look so good.
it was hard for me to decide what. I try to do a little bit of some of the old stuff I've done, some of the new stuff, just kind of a variety of things. But check out the channel. There's lots of stuff on there. So yeah, I think I'm at 107 episodes now. I've done. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, 3,000 subscribers, and you worked hard for those. So I'm looking forward to see where else you go from here.
yeah, that's right. I did a lot of hours of crafting too. But I'm glad people are willing to come along for the ride and enjoying it. So
Yeah, Mia saying she dropped around 750 megabytes.
with that,
Yeah, Mia Geek is saying that she dropped around 750 megabytes of photos when we were going to do her stream.
nice.
Yep, and
It's hard to
again,
decide.
it was very hard to decide because there was some really good stuff in there. Dungeon Matron, the eternal question from Dungeon Matron. Where do you store all this stuff?
Well, the Plunder Den has a lot of bookshelves.
Aha!
I have bookshelves and bookshelves of terrain, ships, miniatures. I got an epic gaming room. The Plunder Den is my gaming room, and right now I only have half the room because the other half is my son's virtual reality video game area, and the other half is the Plunder Den. But it right now it's I'm looking at potentially down the road as selling some of this stuff off. So some of the people have expressed interest in buying it. I know I've done commission work for people, but and cutting down and just let's just say thinning out the fat a little bit here. So I only stay to the size of my room and not exceed the size of my room. So I'm starting to get almost bursting at the seams now. So I think I'm going to be selling some of this stuff off soon
I mean,
and making room for new terrain.
on the other hand, it is a basement, so maybe you could start digging or expanding it or something.
Yeah,
Or maybe
that's
tunnel
true.
to your neighbor's basement and take it over.
Well, I've also gifted some of it away too. I've given it as gifts and stuff like that away to people. So just make some space.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to say goodbye to stuff, but you need the space to do more new stuff.
Well, yeah, and that tavern I showed you at the beginning, that's something that I could probably part with at some point here. I want to build a new, more elaborate version of it. So I was talking about something with a courtyard and over the top, over the top. So it's coming. It's coming. You have to bear with me. It'll probably be 3 episodes. You're going to have to live through the 3 episodes, but it's the only way to show something massive like that, a project like that, right? It's just there's a lot to it, a lot to consider.
Okay, so Dexter, this has been super interesting. I think I've picked up a bunch of ideas from you, and it was really good talking to you. So, what do you say
It
we
was
have?
awesome here.
What do you say if we have a look at Discord, see what everyone else has been throwing in there,
Sure.
and yeah, let's see what comes up. Okay, coming up first, Lawrence from Dirt Basement Terrain with Underdark Scatter.
Yeah, those are
Eh,
really cool.
yeah, that's a lot of spiders.
Yeah, is this kind of like the Lord of the Rings lair where Frodo gets caught in a spider web?
I think that had less spiders in it.
Yeah. Well, the one in Harry Potter had all those. Well, that's crazy with spiders in that one.
Yeah, I see. He's got the dryer sheet webs going on, but especially
Yeah,
like
I like that.
the fact that they're all colorful. It's not all black spiders or whatever. It makes it really stand out.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
one spider is huge.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good stuff, Lawrence.
yeah,
I, be-
that's awesome.
I believe that this video is already out on his channel, so that's Dirty Basement Terrain if anyone wants to check that out.
Oh, cool.
Okay, Earthman Brick, high-tech sci-fi interior terrain. Dun dun dun.
Nice.
Okay, and this is just layered.
That's a different way of. I've never thought of doing it something like that, right?
I believe this is just layers on layers of card. This,
Yeah,
this is going to look really interesting if it's painted when it's painted up.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah,
And I don't know how it's planning to do it, but I can just imagine like some kind of glow effect going on around those channels. That's going to look mind-blowing.
that would look pretty epic. Yeah, for sure. I like that idea. That's cool.
That's Earthman Brick. I'm pretty sure. I know for sure that the this video isn't out on his channel yet, but he does other stuff.
He's working on it.
It will be there.
Yeah.
Okay, Lewis from the Ant level. Some bases for an undead Kings of War army. Oh, I like this.
Oh yes.
So that's one thing about I never played Kings of War, but that's one thing I like about the system is that the game works on basis of multiple units, multiple creatures rather than individual bases. So you can come up with all
Yeah,
of these
okay.
sorts of fancy decorated bases. I like this water effect.
Nice. So then would you put your whole unit on that, right?
Yeah, so it would be like
On the base.
it depends because I've seen people put in like 20 or 30 miniatures on a base. I've seen people put 5 miniatures on a base. So it really
Okay.
depends on how much you want to pack them in and how much you want to stack them. But the at the end of the day, most of the bases look like small dioramas on their own.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, I'd like to know what that water effect is. It looks interesting. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that kind of would look good on my blood and valor things I want to do. With exploding trenches and stuff like that, and have like pools of water like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That would look cool.
Yeah, that would fit perfectly.
Yeah,
Okay. Meanwhile, Recon from Full Moon Crafting Studios. Body bags.
I like the he's got the little water effect, and I like the grass, and that's really cool.
Yeah, and what he's been doing with these body bags is he's been using failed prints as a base,
Okay.
and then layering this stuff on top of them. So I don't think it only shows in some parts in this picture, but you can tell that there's a humanoid shape in them.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Oh,
these,
that's wow.
this is some mighty fine print.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I can see some Vids magazines over here.
Are
Dungeons
those
and
like
Dragons.
the Dungeons and Dragons,
Yep,
or
they are. Yeah.
yeah, that's so those are the Dungeons and Dragons books, aren't they?
I mean, and even without enlarging it further, you can see Conan here and Call of Cthulhu.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, really fine printing. And yeah,
Oh wow, that'd be good for like little posters and stuff like that. Put a
li
wanted poster up.
little posters, or you could, scrunch them up and put them as ground scatter.
Yeah,
or even
Well,
just
that's true. Yeah, ground scatter. That's little
what
leaflets and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and even the way that he put the stuff on the shelves here, so it would be good for like these modern or post-apocalyptic games. This is a really good idea. Can see this going places. Okay, yeah, making in progress shippers. Ooh, shipping containers.
Wow. Those are. That's must be a kind of a cardboard, I think, eh? And then
I
they.
think
That's
I've
what it looks like.
foam core and cardboard on top.
Yeah, that's a good idea for shipping crates.
Yeah, that works. And I'm guessing the stairs are to make the corners.
Okay.
And the way she's going, I think she might have a whole board of these going on.
Yeah, she's gonna have a whole game table of those, eh? A shipyard would be really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Okay, quest board terrain.
Wow.
I believe this is from her underwater video that she just dropped this morning.
Oh wow, these are awesome.
And she's playing with the lighting.
She's playing with lighting. Nice. Oh, I like the colors and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Okay. By the way, Lewis is saying that the water is gloss varnish from the pawn shop. That's one from
okay
the.
for that puddle up. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I like this.
Yes. It's funny as it's changing colors on the two different screens I got open here. It's it's awesome.
Some good miniature painting in there as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's see. Me again, more in progress for the upcoming modern post-apocalypse stuff. Aha, okay.
Okay.
Guessing these are some roads or something?
Yeah,
Or
looks like
walkways?
road tiles.
Ooh, hoo, hoo. Lots of
Oh
road
yeah,
tiles.
modular road tiles. Yeah.
This is good.
Yes. It'll be interesting to see that all set up.
Oh yeah, and Mia does make some huge boards, so that's going to look epic at the end of it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, one more from Full Moon Crafting Studios, a boarded up shop or house or
I
something.
like the weathering on this.
Yeah, I see. He's also done the little nail holes in the board.
Yes. Oh yeah, I like that.
I love the weathering.
All my favorite colors and my earth tones. I love my earth tones.
Oh yeah, this is one of the what do you call them? The MDF kits he was working on.
Okay.
So he's really going to town and pimping it up.
That's awesome.
Oh, okay. Then we have some billboards from Mia.
Nice. Billboard. Nice. Was this for like a Fallout game or something like that? I wonder.
Uh,
Oh no, it's post apocalypse. I think it's all part of the same thing, right?
yeah, pretty
These
much. I
are
mean,
all
same genre.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, this one is from Martin from Palpatilia. Oh, let's enlarge this. Oh man.
Oh, that's cool.
So he builds these creatures from roots, bits of bark, piece of wood he finds lying around, and adds
Oh wow, really?
yeah, and then he sculpts on little extra bits with green stuff.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Oh yeah, and they're pretty large. I mean, this one is I'm not sure if this is the largest one or one of the largest, but it's a big boy. Oh yeah, and he's starting to 3D scan some of them as well now.
Oh, okay. So those are that what the one. Those are awesome designs. I mean, I can see a whole army of those things.
Oh yeah,
Would be pretty scary.
yeah, literally stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm really looking forward to see what he does with this now because he's already good enough with physical sculpting. I think now I think he's going to embark on the 3D sculpting journey.
3D sculpting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's another one from Earthman Brick. 2 planes, 1 kit. So if I understood correctly, he took a single plane kit. He used the top and the bottom of it to make 2 different Orky planes for
Oh,
Warhammer 40k.
okay. So you kind of put 2 different ones together. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's love that
this
one.
one looks like fun.
Yeah. Yeah, these are neat.
Yeah, I like the all the exhausts and stuff. I think sometimes you can hear his models in your head.
Very industrial looking to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks loud.
Yeah.
Love the teeth as well.
Yeah, that's right. I like the teeth. Very cool. Yeah, they look pretty menacing.
And it's from all. They're both from this. The 2 halves of this particular model.
Oh, okay.
Nice work. And then okay, it is for the crafting challenge that we're having next week. Sorry, that we're finishing next week.
Okay.
And
I like that glow.
yeah, it looks really good.
What's causing all that glowing down there? That's
I'm not
nice.
entirely sure, but it looks good. And this is some kind of incense burner or something. So I don't think there's a video of it here, but that kind of has smoke pouring all over it, so that will look great with the glowy stuff in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's really a neat effect that's going on there. I like that.
Yeah, which reminds me, before I forget, next Sunday we'll have the stream for the kind of wet challenge. So yeah, that will be showing off all the pieces that people have been doing about the theme of watery terrain, wet terrain, or that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean you should drop in some of your stuff too. You've like, I mean you've got stuff that's wet. I mean you've got the river, you've got the boats.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's everything. Yeah, that's everything in Discord. Great job, everyone. So
I had a ton. This
second,
was awesome, Karl. Thanks so much for having me.
it was a pleasure. It's been a blast talking to you. And like I said, there were some really good tips in there. So I think we'll call it an evening. Thanks again for joining us. It's
Okay.
been a real pleasure talking to you. And yeah, we'll be
Right.
definitely going through more of your videos on your channel because there's some stuff in there that I really want to figure out how to build. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots to look at.
Yeah, and again, thanks everyone, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And have a great week.
Yeah.
Bye.
You as well, Karl. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.